that happened to me this week. Roger gave us a book. Roger and I had a meeting this week, and Roger, And Roger gave me a book. There I am on. And the book, I started reading it. It was a lot about light. And Pam, thank you for that meditation. It goes right along with what we're talking about today. There's the synchronicity. I didn't tell Pam what to do. I just asked her to do a meditation this morning, and there it was on light. So Roger gave me this book, and it was all about light. And then my friend Shannon sent me a message on Facebook, and let me read it to you what it says. It says, "You have made it past the moment of merely surviving to the elevated state of higher frequency of light. You no longer need to lean on any one person too much as you allow divine light in daily to lift you up. Further light code structures of peace, joy, abundance, prosperity, grace, and authentic happiness are here to stay for you. Ask for more of this light each morning from us and get ready for waterfalls of divine treasures to activate more blessings coming your way. You are worthy, my friend. You always have been. In your dreams, you meet with us to discuss your life. It is time to know your worthiness in your waking hours. For it is through you we are flooding divine light to Mother Earth and all our people. We are honored to do this as you say yes to receiving more divine light from us. Let it be known how much we adore you. When you claim Mother God and Father God's light as yours, this allows us to usher in floods of divine treasures for humanity." So I got that from Shannon about light after I got Roger's light. So 3 things happened. And I was doing a meditation with somebody, and we were feeling, holding both hands, feeling the circuitry of light, and we could, feel the energy in each other's hands. We could feel that we were really activating something within us. So I know I was going to study light this week. I mean, it was like one thing after the other that keep telling me about light. So I've been studying light, the power of light. How do we use light? What is light? Ancient texts and scientists, masters are telling us we've entered a dramatic time in the history of humanity. We know all these sun flares are coming to us all the time, and there's a wave of energy passing that's from the galaxy that's altering everything we know on the Earth today. And many of us are going through huge changes right now. Sometimes we feel like we're even being carried through changes. It's like we're just, the universe has such a calling on us in this time that it's just taking us out of the old and into the new. So it's affecting energy matter and bringing all the matter into higher vibrations of light all over the planet right now. How many of you can just feel it? Things are shifting so radically, and you can just feel this light, and our bodies are trying to get acclimated to it because it's happening so fast. Because this wave is light, is consciousness, by working with aligning with this light, we have the potential for greater evolution and growth. And so I feel like that was really the beginning of the message for me this week. Everything was coming, people were sending me everything about light. Pam gets up and does a light meditation. I have the light song afterwards. It's like we are supposed to be understanding this light. And so I'm just going to take you on my journey of what I studied this week. So after studying alchemy in the Bible, I've talked about this many, many times. I can see that we are here to, alchemy is all about us transforming matter back into spirit. It's all about us having this light body, and I'm going to get into that. The Bible, all the ancient texts talk about that. And years ago I started studying the blood, and I don't know, how many of you were in Christianity when we were covering everything with the blood? Cover your house with the blood, cover everything with the blood. Spirit began to show me that no, Christ came to show us a different picture. He came to shed the blood. Because the life of the flesh is in the blood. You can take one drop of blood and know if you've got a disease, know if it works, know everything about your physicality, nothing about your spirituality, but everything about your physicality. So in the Old Testament, when a woman was bleeding, it was called her time of separation. She couldn't go into the tabernacle. And Christ came to shed the blood, and then it says never drink blood. So what I began to see was we are here to transmute blood, which is absence of light, back into light. So I think as we ascend and as we get all these solar flares and all of these galactic waves of energy, it's doing something molecular in our body to transform us back into light beings. So how can we work with light now? What is light in our life right now? So alchemy, like I said, in the Emerald Tablets, which go back 50,000 years, was all about transmuting matter back into spirit. So we're really here to to bring these light bodies so we can vibrate at a higher frequency. We've come into these dense bodies for a purpose, to experience these things, but we're at a time in history where all the ancients talked about this time when we really, it says that we're going to see ourselves face to face, we're going to bring the light back into the earth and all of those things. So let me read a scripture that has always inspired me. And I've used it so many times, but it maybe just listen to it and see if you can identify with it. It says, it's Isaiah 60:1, and it says, "Arise and shine, for your light is come, and the glory of divinity is risen upon you. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth." And we're seeing that right now, aren't we? People are talking about political things. People are talking about war. We're talking about all the things that are happening. So darkness covers the earth, and gross darkness of people. And we see a lot of people waking up, but we also see people and have people in our family that aren't awake, that are still in the darkness, and gross darkness of people. But divine shall arise upon you, and its glory shall be upon you. And the Gentiles, which means those that really aren't awakened to what we are, shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. So it's talking about a time when we are able to not only fill ourselves with this light, but give this light off, and this light is going to have a gravitational pull for people to come to us. It says even government officials, the kings are going to come to the brightness of our rising. There's something happening in the midst of this darkness, that this people is rising as light. So it's talking about the bodies of light, just as Jesus demonstrated on the Mount of Transfiguration. Remember, he told the disciples, he said, "Some of you aren't going to die till you see the kingdom coming." And they said, how? So he takes them up to a big mountain, to a high mountain, which is higher consciousness, an analogy of higher consciousness. You don't have to go to a mountain to get there. And what does he do? He turns back into light. It's called the Mount of Transfiguration because he turns back into light. That's the kingdom. The kingdom is coming back into our light bodies and having that light come out of us, that we can change everything around us. So in Genesis 1, I want to start with this too. It says, "In the beginning, God." I'm sure all of you have heard that scripture. In the beginning, God. And then the Bible interprets what God means. It says this. In John 1:5, it says, "This is the message we heard from him, to announce to you that God is light." So in the beginning, before the creation of this universe and the world, there was a source energy of photon called light that created everything. I mean, how can we describe God? The Bible tells us light. It's light energy. It's a photon. It's an energetic source of all that created everything. So light is a creative force, and if we are created in the image of God, we should be able to use that creative force of light too to change things in our lives, to change ourselves. So light is a creative force. Think of the conception, and I've used this a million times. In the womb of a woman, when the sperm hits the egg, this is scientific evidence. They have pictures of this. There's a combustion, and guess what you're created out of? Light. There's a light spark in the womb of a woman when that sperm hits the egg, and there's this combustion. So creative force is light. Everything in this natural world is showing us. When you're in the sunlight and you close your eyes, you see nothing. But guess what? You can feel the light. How many of you have been out in the sunlight? You close your eyes and it's dark, but you can feel that energy of light. And you don't have to see light to feel it. It's a powerful energy. And only a small portion of what we call light is really visible to the human, to us. So the quantum theory says lights consist of small bundles of energy particles. Science calls these photons. And here's another key. And I love this because we did this morning. It says a lot of photons give a brighter, more intense light. Fewer protons give a very dim light. So when we come together, it's like a dimmer switch. You know, you can turn your light down or you can turn your light up, but when we come together, it's almost like a satellite light, like I think Pierre read this morning. It's like when we come together, we amplify each other's light. When we're holding hands, and you can feel that energy, we are amplifying our light. We're turning up the lights in here. So it's so beautiful. As we gather, we have a powerful energy. Light permeates all of our reality, everything. I remember, something just came into my mind. I remember when I was at Girl Scout camp with one of my girls, and I wanted to see what time it was, and the cabin was all dark. And so I kept going to the door, and I just cracked the door a little bit, and the closer I got to the light, I could begin to see. You know, and that's what's happening to us too. You know, the closer we get to that light, we begin to see things when we're in that darkness that we don't see. So light permeates our reality. It's an amazing tool. It's a carrier of beauty, a giver of life. Scientists stand in awe of the power of light. And I'm going to tell you some of the new things that are going to be happening with light. Here's some of the predictions for the future of light. Just listen. Mainline scientists are developing the world's first invisible cloak. How many of you read about this? They've invented this invisible cloak using technology to hide objects from view, making them disappear. They're creating electromagnetic field, and they're bending them away from the object. And as they do, the object disappears. Isn't that incredible? You know, we wonder why Jesus and different, you know, I was thinking about the girl, Immaculata Borghese, who walked right through in Uganda, walked right through the crowd and nobody saw her. You know, could that have been the bending of light that made her disappear when those soldiers were right there? It's called metamaterials. They feel like they can protect buildings from earthquakes by bending, symmetric waves around it. So in other words, if they bend the light beams, they can protect buildings from earthquakes. And also, they can keep tsunamis from destroying cities by bending the light beams and channeling the tsunamis in other ways. I mean, this is where we are right now. And what scientists are really learning is this way of, you know, bending light. So we had Richard Yap. How many of you were here last year when he had the machine that penetrated your pineal gland and put it on your pineal gland? Awesome. I had an awesome experience, you know, when that was doing that. So it activates that third eye. And they have people that are called light crazy or high-tech cults of light who are studying light all the time because we're really seeing the power of light. Say humans will increasingly, listen, this is a quote, some of these say humans will increasingly exploit the almost infinite amount of bandwidth found in a light beam. In other words, we are going to be able to take everything out of those light beams, exploit them, get all the power out of them, be able to use them. It's just awesome. And that the brightness from the beams being created by technology increase 100-fold every 5 years. But I believe that's probably jumped up since I read that because everything is accelerating exponentially. So I have a quote from a political theorist and technology guru. He declared, light will be the medium of the communication revolution. Listen to what he predicts. You can envision, now listen to this, a point where everyone in the world could have their own wavelength. You could have your own wavelength of light. And it could connect you to somebody in Tokyo or Vienna. And the wavelength could easily accommodate three-dimensional images. So when you have a conversation with them, literally within seconds, you forget that you're not in the same room with them. Be like talking to Pam on this three-dimensional wavelength. I have my own waveband, and I could be talking to Pam, and she's somewhere else. And in seconds, I forget that she's not here with me because it's so real. Our mind, you know, functions like that. And it's like Star Trek. You know, we see all those things. Beam me up, Scotty. Remember that? We all thought that was way in the future, but things are happening. I believe that light was made by God for communication. So he said this, what orthodox busting cosmic information will starlight deliver to our telescopes? Because light carries information. You know, right now there's radio beams going through and television beams going through. We could see a football game right now if we had the eyes to see them. I mean, light beams are everywhere. Will a rotating disc ball ever make a dance floor come back? I'm saying how the disc ball grabs the dance floor. Could it ever make it come back? Modern computers essentially are turning to light-creating devices of light beams in their core instead of silicon chips. So our computers are going to be compelled by light too. I read about a spaceship that weren't bound by Einstein's speed of light, but would use light as a power source by using an ultra-thin sail to catch the wind of a light beam that's beamed from a laser from Earth, accelerating the craft past the speed of light without any fuel. How about that? How about maybe that's how from other planets we're seeing all these spaces. They're using the power of light because light is throughout the universe. The Bible's filled with descriptions of light and our connection to it. David was filled with such light that he was full of confidence and his fears were dispelled. Could it be when we fill ourselves with light that it begins to dispel fears and things and really begins to do some molecular things within our bodies. And the New Testament describes God as the Father of light. And Jesus declares, he said, I'm the light of the world. And then he said to his disciples, you're the light of the world. You're the light bearers. And he encourages them, he says, let your light so shine before the world that they can see God, our divine source. So we are here to really shine our light that people are not looking for God out there. But through our light, it's going to turn on the light within them, and they're going to begin to see that divinity. And then he called them the children of light. And that's what we are this morning. We really are the children of light. You know, that's a powerful statement. So think about people that have those death experiences. You know, near death, when the physical light goes out, what happens? They're drawn to that spiritual light, aren't they? I mean, light never dissipates. It's always there. It's the power that really takes us from this dimension to the next. I mean, it's a form of travel. It's a form of communication. It's a form of power. It's a form of transformation. I mean, this, just by Roger handing me that book and then all this other, I started studying it. And I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg that I'm giving you this morning. You may want to study it for yourself, but there's something powerful. The Bible, the Quran, the emerald tablets, they all talk about light and its power. So all of nature is dependent on light for growth, for survival. At night, when the light decreases, what do people do? They turn on the light. Or what else? If they don't turn on the light, they go to sleep, don't they? What an analogy for us, isn't it? If we don't begin to turn on the light within ourselves, we can go back to sleep. So how about us? How can we turn on the light in a greater way within ourselves? How can we use this light as a tool for our spiritual growth, for our enlightenment? And that's what we want to know. I mean, we have all this information, but how can we use it? Well, it says this in the Bible too. And I always go back to the Bible because that's my foundation, but if you know me, you know that I believe the Bible is not really a religious book, but it's a handbook for ascension. It's a metaphysical book that shows us how to ascend and how to grow and how to really become that light. So it says God created man in his image. And when you look up that word, it means out of an imagination, an image nation. Did you ever think about that? We make these nations, image nations. So we have an imagination. So we can pull light into our being through our own imagination. It's what all the great minds did. Mozart, Da Vinci, they wanted to create something. They saw it in their imagination. They pulled that light into their DNA and it began to manifest in their reality. How about you? How about us pulling that light in through our imagination? Why do we have this imagination? You know, sometimes we feel like we're doing ceremonies or we're standing in a circle and it's not as powerful as we really deep down innately know it to be, that we have the power to pull this light in and manifest something. So we're here to manifest our highest potential as light beings. Our power is limitless if we learn to harness it. And like I said, I'm just getting the tip of the iceberg this morning. But can we harness that light to change things? And I've seen it in my own life, and I'm going to give you an example. How about Yeshua when he fed the 5,000? What did he do? He aligned with this light power and was able to, out of nothing, begin to manifest. How about you? You know, we only see like 2% of what's going on around us, really. So if we could tap into that invisible field of light, that power, that tool, and bring those things, everything that is unmanifested is in the field of light, everything. And if we can tap into that unmanifested, invisible field, we have the power to bring it in to this realm. And that's really what we're here for. We have the ability to do this with light. The potential for growth is enormous. You are building a light body. You know, every single one of us that are really awakening right now are working on our light body. Every piece of ascension that happens to you, every thought that you change, every act that you do out of that universal mind is changing something in your body. It's helping you build a light body. It's healing you. Think of the things that are used in medicine today, lasers. I mean, light is really the next part of medicine today. And how about ourselves? If we could fill ourselves with light, send the parts of the body that are hurting with light, could that transmute those things? And I believe we're learning that. So you're building a light body, and we're rapidly evolving into a new race of being because of the massive influx of light. A body of light is evolving in the human aura. And the beginning stages, where would you think the beginning stages of this light are? One to start in the body. Where would you think? Who has an idea? That's exactly right. In your heart. I was studying it and it says, you know, it's built around the heart, slightly above the heart. And the new wave is challenging us to open our hearts to that energy. And why are we studying, you know, the Heart Institute? And always we're saying we're traveling from the mind to the heart. We're opening our heart chakra because that's where your light body begins to build, is in your heart. When you're willing to open your heart and allow that light to come in, call that light in. So alchemy, which I've been studying, and I've talked about so many times here, is all about turning our physical, lower dense body into light, just as Jesus did. He showed us that. The kingdom is not out there somewhere. The kingdom is the transmutation of us into that pure white light. And what Pam said this morning, I love when you kept saying the pure white light, because there's a difference in the visible light and that pure white light, and that's really where we're going. So the key is not to view our bodies as physical. That's the first thing. We've got to know that our bodies are really not physical. You know, for me, I always say it's like going to the moon. You know, we came to Earth. It says, you know, the prodigal son, it says he came from a far-off country. Well, we did too. You're not from Earth. Hello? Anybody here from Earth? Not really. We came from somewhere else. And we took on these bodies like a suit to go to the moon, Earth body, so we could experience and you know, function here on Mother Earth, who so graciously gave us this to function on. So anyway, we have these bodies. So the first thing is we can't view our bodies as being physical, because we know that we're spiritual beings having a physical experience in these shells that we call body. So what if we thought of our body, and when we were doing meditation this week, we began to see ourselves, and you can do this too, as just see your body. Close your eyes just a moment. Just close your eyes a moment. And see your body right now, who you are. But then see that body begin to just dissolve into this real beam of white, pure light that Pam talked about this morning. Just see you not having the face you have, or the body you have, but just having this being this beam of pure white light. And see yourself maybe walking into your job, or walking into a meeting with your family as that pure beam of white light. Just how would that feel? You know, knowing that whatever it is, you would be able to change, you know, that situation. Okay, you can open your eyes. We came here really to build a body of light. We came here to transmute dense matter back into light. Light is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. You know, it says this, it says God inhabits eternity, and we call him or it, or the energy of the source, or we call it, you know, it inhabits everything. Well, that's what light does. Light is everywhere in the universe. It's a living presence. It can be anywhere or everywhere all at once. Light responds to when you think about light, it responds to your thoughts. And these are some of the things that I looked at. Light is a powerful force of transformation. You can use light to transform things. How about when they do radiation on a tumor? You know, to dissolve that tumor. What if we could beam light so powerful that we could change situations, or change our own heart, or change, you know, the heart of somebody else? Light is a powerful force of transformation. That's why this new wave is creating so many changes. We can use light to strengthen our connection to our higher self. What if we use that light to just connect to that higher self? And really see that using our imagination. I feel like the key here is imagination, because it says in the Bible, and I love to go back there, that God created us in his image, which means in the imagination of Source. So we have that imagination, that creative energy. I want you to think right now too, because I'm going to ask you at the end, how can you use light? Maybe some of the ways I haven't put into this, that you could use light to change something in your life. We can use light to strengthen our connection with our higher self. We can call on it to transmute energy, to empower and heal ourselves and others. Light can increase our vibrations, amplify the strength of our positive thoughts, and open our heart. We can use light to put in, I think Pam said it this morning, that pure light goes through our consciousness, to just empower those positive thoughts. What if you're having maybe challenged by negative thoughts coming in, and you use the power of light to empower when you have a positive thought, fill it with light to be more empowering than those negative thoughts. Your thing was so perfect this morning, Pam. You can link it with, harness its power to create good all around you. What if we went in before, and I did this morning, I filled this room with light and love, that you would feel that love when you come in here. That you would know, we can go ahead of ourselves. If you're going to a meeting or you're going to do something, what if you fill that room with light? When I was talking about this, I had counseled with Orcham. Remember Orcham and Carl when they were here? Well, when I was going through something, I counseled with Orcham, and she said, before you do anything, Mary, fill yourself with love and light. And then see divinity speaking through you. Take that moment before you do something. What if before you had a conversation with somebody you are at odds with, or if you pick up the phone for your kids, or whatever it is, if you just took a moment to fill yourself with love and light, just see yourself just filling up with light, and seeing that divine, you communicating through divine essence. How would that be different? Or before you go into a meeting, you fill the room with light. Before you go to court, I was reading an example about a lady that was going to court and everything was going against her. And she took a moment just to be still. And she filled the courtroom with light. And she filled the judge with light. And she filled her opponent with light. And everything began to change immediately. We don't understand the power of imagination. If we were created out of an image within source field of light, and we are light because we came out of that source field, how much more power do we have to create? And we really are on the cutting edge of these things right now. So you can bring more light into your life by thinking about it. Light responds to your thoughts and is drawn to you. And as you think on light more, you will become charged with light, building a radiant body of light around you. So the more we think about light, the more we, I feel like even searching into light, looking at all the things I looked at this week about light, were filling me with more light, I could see that power and how it was. So let's stop and call light into ourselves. Close your eyes right now. This is just one little way we can do it. Just close your eyes right now. Let's just take a breath and just kind of sink into that place and imagine yourself standing under a waterfall of sparkling light. Just seeing yourself be that waterfall is just drenching you with light. Sparkling light, your body, your auras are becoming more and more radiant. See that aura of your body expanding and expanding as this sparkling water just comes over you. Feel the light flowing through your body at a cellular level. See every one of your cells right now just being filled with light. And just see that light and see yourself as that pure white light. Just feel that for a moment and you can open your eyes. All it takes is a few minutes to fill yourself with light. At work, in your car, at home, or in wherever you are in a store. And really, I believe that it's going to take us to the next level. It's going to dramatically change us. I mean, just that book that Roger put in my hand, and then getting from Shannon that note, and then Kim, the song, Pam, the meditation. It's like what I talked about last week, that synchronicity. When you get in the flow, it's like everything is leading you where we need to go. And I feel like this is where we're going. It's really being, what do we call people today? We call them light workers, don't we? But are we really working with light? We talk about that. So every time you connect with the light, you're building a bridge between yourself and the higher realms. You're connecting to those invisible realms that hold all the unmanifested things that are coming into this time-space realm. A powerful use of light, an image that you are putting up a spear or cocoon of light around you. Not for protection, and I've heard that so many times, you put it up for protection. Not to keep people out, but as an energy that is so strong it raises the vibration of everything and everybody around you. How about if you filled yourself with a cocoon of light before you go someplace? Not to protect yourself, but that you change where you go. How did Yeshua, people were drawn to him, and Buddha, and all of these masters? They knew They knew about light, and they knew how to do this. If you had a meeting or a social gathering where you want to change what's happening, sit quietly and just call in that light. Imagine light all around you, extended to encircle all of those present. Let's just do that right now. Let's just imagine this room. Help me, because we're going to do this. Imagine this room. Just first imagine yourself filled with that light. And then see all the people in this room. Instead of seeing their bodies, just see them as beams of light. And then let's just make a call out for other light workers to come and join us, to help us turn up our lights, to just join us in this place. Let's just set that intention together right now. Let's just open our hearts and release that. Okay, you can open your eyes. But as you learn to use light, you're going to gain confidence that you can create things in your life. I feel like that's what I'm learning, that I'm going to start using that light to really create the things that I want. So these are a few points that I have. Sending light can create harmony in your relationships. With my daughters, I don't know if you, how many of you have daughters in here? Well, they try to help you a lot, don't they? Yeah. Those girls? Anyway,
lots of opportunities.
Yeah, I love my daughters. They're the best. But one of the things is, if you open your heart and open their heart and just send that pulse of love to them, you don't have to be in the same room with somebody. How about somebody you're having at odds with? You can open your heart, and just send that love to somebody. It changes everything. It begins to work within that person. Light is a powerful source of healing. If there is any discomfort in your body, how about sending light to those places? I did that this morning. And it works. And the light you send to others will come back to you multiplied. How about sending light to others? Just to help them, whatever they're going to do. It's like a boomerang. When you're sending light out, it connects to that energy and source of light, and it's going to bring more light into your body. Whatever you're giving away, that's what we don't get. Whatever we're giving away, when we're giving away with a heart of service for humanity, it's going to come back to us. You can reprogram your body by meditating and envisioning light entering your DNA through your brain as light. How about reprogramming our DNA? We say, this is in my family, or that's in my family. What if we go in and reprogram our DNA? And that's what they're doing too. They're reprogramming DNA now. The last thing that I want to say is, how about Om? Om represents life, light, and divinity. Om has the power to transform you. And it's best to do it at sunrise and sunset. So what if we, opening our heart to that sound of Om, which opens really all of our chakras, and open ourselves to that. We were created out of a God, divine source of light, and we're here as gods. You really are. Jesus himself said it. I'm not saying something. Jesus said, "Know you not." Don't your own scriptures, don't your own prophets tell you that you're gods? So if we're gods and we have this imagination, we're here to create as God did, as divinity source, as source energy does, out of light. Light in our imagination. How else can you suggest that we use light to create? So that's what I want to ask you before we're going to do something else today. But how else, anybody have any ideas how you could use light in your life to create? Anybody? Yeah, Marianne.
I use light through my camera.
Ooh, beautiful. And actually the lens of our eye, I didn't get into that, but the lens of our eye really is the light that lights everything. Our eye is the lens. Beautiful. Anybody else? And you bring beauty through your pictures, and you bless people through your pictures. That's great. How else can we use light? Kat?
Well, I use it in my healing all the time, both etherically, and I have cold lasers, and I've got LED lights, and do all different kinds of things like that. And I brought that light in so that it would light you up. I'm lit. And I've got Dr. Light.
You've got Dr. Light.
His name was Light his first 2 lives, and it's been Dr. Light his last 2 lives. So and photography is totally about light.
Right.
So my whole life has been about it.
Right, right.
But he's sort of an example of he brings a lot of light to people when we go to nursing homes and assisted livings and hospice and things.
Right. Anybody else have anything that they, Joanne, let me get it, let me just hand you the, come up here, Joanne, because we're filming this, so go ahead.
Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but I have a company called Link to Expert, and what we do is we put people in the limelight because of the fact that we feel like, for you to be seen